Being recorded.
Good morning. Call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Hampden Selectboard and the Board of Health being held at the Townhouse Auditorium on December 5th, 2024. The meeting is being conducted in person remotely using video conferencing technology. The other selectmen, I believe, are on Zoom. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is anyone recording the meeting other than ourselves? Kristen Rivers from the Wilbraham Times. Good morning, Kristen. Thank you. So just to begin, for quite some time we've been talking in the abstract about the need to address our aging municipal buildings. In some cases, they've become inadequate and too inefficient to provide the necessary required present and future services. In some cases, they're out of code in certain areas. In some other cases, the potentially unsafe working conditions exist. And in yet other cases, they just need sprucing up and routine maintenance. Whatever the case, the town has a responsibility to address those issues. Whenever there's a budget discussion or a large expenditure discussion, we always hear, remember, we have these big expenses coming up. In my view, it's past time that we address these issues in some way. I describe our current situation as a state of analysis paralysis. Since FY22, this town has spent $316,755 in grants, ARPA money, town meeting appropriations, on studies, building assessments, consultants, and architects. The result is we have lots of paper, but nothing else. While residents understand where the town is in regard to this, as was demonstrated at town meeting, they clearly are not willing to give out a blank check to any particular project. It's clear from the town meeting discussions on the senior center and Thornton Burgess that taxpayers want and deserve answers, and they want to have confidence their elected and appointed officials are presenting them with a well thought out, reasonable, sound, and responsible building and affordable financial plan that will serve the towns in the need in the years to come. With that said, this is the first in what I hope will be several meetings focusing solely on the capital needs and utilization of our municipal building so we can present a comprehensive plan to the townspeople. It's important to know that this is occurring in many towns, particularly in Western Massachusetts. I believe I sent everyone various articles, including a 2021 study by the state auditor specific to the problems with Western Massachusetts towns. All of which brings us to the goal. In my view, the goal for these meetings will be to have a priority plan of projects, figure out a timeline how to get them done, and figure out a definitive, reasonable, affordable funding strategy for the projects to present to town meeting. So this is the list of buildings, town building facilities. And as you can see, Academy Hall, Townhouse, Highway Garage, we did some addition on that in 2021. Green Meadow School was a 2000, we did an addition there. The fire station, we've done some improvements there, but that was years ago. Thornton Burgess Middle School, Memorial Park, the senior center, and the police station. Next line. These are the assessed values of the buildings. As you can see, obviously, that the schools are our most valuable assets, followed by the townhouse, the police station, and the senior center, fire station, Park Academy Hall, and Highway Garage.
And the Highway Garage, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. Up here?
We spent more than that in addition to the Highway Garage. It's only worth $278,000.
Yeah, I know we spent $600,000 on it.
Well, that's true with all of them. The police station cost $3 million.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, even the senior center was 2 when we first built it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so,
So these numbers are all off anyways.
well, there's assessed values.
Assessors. The assessed values.
It's the value.
They do my house, the guy's doing these assessments?
Right, it's an assessed value.
All right, go ahead.
It's not, we want to start the,
What?
You have the overview of building
Yeah,
assessments.
the overview of building assessment.
Close that.
So this is the 2020 assessment of the Hampden Fire Station, and I believe I sent you copies of this. Basically, there's the existing conditions. There were 3 different construction sites. The space available is significantly less than they need. One of the problems that they have, obviously, there is when they dress to go to a fire, they don't have space in between the station, the equipment and the walls. And plus, they have additional safety issues there. And this architect came back with cost estimates ranging from, around the bottom. This is if we did no addition, we just did the replacement, improvements and repairs. There's a $2,157,000. And this is a second, stop, go back up.
Let's see that.
Okay. This is adding, this one is, I believe, is adding an addition, and he's $6,128,000, doing the repairs and adding an addition. Anyhow, this is second addition on the other side, the south side than the east side, or vice versa. This is a full build out of an entire new station, $13 million. If we did that, we'd need to find land to put it on. So that's the fire department.
Don, question?
Yep.
This particular report on the fire department from 2000, capital planning looked at it quite a bit, and there was some serious flaws in it. I know you have a construction committee now for the firehouse.
There's one now.
Are they going down a different road at all? Because, like I said, that one had a lot of problems with it. They had bunk spaces and a hook and ladder truck, and
Kitchens and.
they had a 70-square-foot hydration room,
Right.
which is just a room for bottled water.
A lot of drinking.
That's a lot of drinking. The old days,
I hope they had a lot of bathrooms in there.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's only a
So-
50,000 square.
So is there any newer information on the firehouse from the building committee?
Is anyone from the building committee here on Zoom? What I can tell you is that they retained an architect to build, I believe they just want to put on 1 bay.
Okay.
Do the improvement, 3 bays?
3 bays.
3 bays, 3 new bays?
Yeah, well, tear one down and make the roof larger, well,
Okay.
at the present time.
Right, okay.
Okay, so we need some numbers on that plan.
Yeah, so you don't have it, hopefully by spring's town meeting.
Okay, good.
And then with the fire department, we hired a second consultant, and he came back with anywhere from 10.9 million to 17.1 million.
These are all guesstimates, right? Not actual estimates?
These are guesstimates, so
And those are all pre-COVID dollars.
they're pre-COVID.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There's some inflation factor.
You got an inflation factor.
Exactly.
But
Those,
we thought we could do it for 2 million back in 2000.
I don't understand why everything's so.
we didn't do anything. Go ahead, next one.
Can you send it?
Yeah. So this is the senior center feasibility study. Stop there. On that one, this particular one, they were talking about 3,000 square feet of additional space was needed. And that range at that time was 2.9 to 3.3 million, plus soft costs. And I think, go ahead. And it needs some repairs over there, they need some extra space. That's 11,764 square feet. That's the one that they just presented to town.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
And that was 5.96 million.
Yeah.
The town meeting rejected.
2025 construction costs.
20,
Actually estimated out at using construction costs.
okay, oh, go ahead. Yeah, that's the, right, 2025 construction cost, 5,962,000, all right. What else you got there?
Townhouse.
Townhouse. So the townhouse is a mess. Go down. Talks a little bit on electrical.
Get rid of the swimming pool.
That's a chart.
No, I want to go to right there. So, and this consultant says, although there's an exterior ramp that lead, we have a lot of handicap accessibility problems with the town halls, we all know. And this particular assessment is that, it says that even if we did renovations and did all the renovations and alterations, we still wouldn't have enough space in the town hall for the current offices, and unless we moved the library out and built a new library or moved it someplace else. Go ahead. And those costs, they estimated those costs at that time to be, this is kind of on an angle here. Go ahead.
Chart.
You can't.
7.
That 7,725,000 over the course of, and that's divided up into 1 year, something you have to do for this year, some immediate, 5-year, 10-year, 7,725,000.
Don?
You adding this all up?
The frustrating thing about this particular one is they couldn't give a definitive opinion on anything structural. It was all, well, we'll have to see what happens when we get into it.
We tear apart.
So when people talk about the bowed wall and stuff, we have really no friggin' idea how big a deal that is, and the consultant didn't help us answer that question.
I had the structural engineer come in, he said it's a facade that you're looking at, but it's being pushed by water from the outside, which is also bowing.
Okay.
So it is actually a structural issue.
Yeah.
Should we get hard hats?
Hard hats in all the meetings. What else you got there?
WB.
This is TWB. You know this one. You memorize this one, right?
Oh, yeah. Not so much, but
So we've signed it, the agreement with the region, and we own TWB now, but we'll have full use of it come July 1st. And this is the estimated cost, the immediate costs are 1,006,000 something, and the category A, I believe, is 5 years out, 4 million. Category B is 2, so it would be a total of 9 million over the course of 10, I believe 10 years.
Now, I haven't read this one at all, Don. Is this just to bring the building up to the level of repair, or does this involve some reconfiguration, remodeling?
This involves reconfiguration and doing all kinds of other things that we probably wouldn't do if we just moved the town.
So, okay, so,
We're talking probably 1,006,000 to start off, and probably the 4.
What is that list like, roof and parking lot?
That's
Some HVAC?
that wouldn't even do the roof, I don't think.
No.
No.
the roof they said was
Okay,
okay for 5 to 10 years yet.
okay.
Wow.
so the biggest component here is the fire protection, which they estimated may or may not need to be done.
You did?
So
Somewhere in that study, in small print, they're using 2021 construction numbers,
Yeah, they got
which, 2022.
2022.
So we're 2 years plus
Right.
inflation,
So you gotta go.
those numbers.
But you know what I'm surprised at is that this number isn't a lot bigger when I compare it to the townhouse number. You know, that really surprises me. 7 million for the townhouse, and what was your big number there?
9 million.
9?
But 9 includes a lot of remodel, without any remodeling, what is it? Just to move in?
Without remodeling, it's probably 4 4.5, right now, on those numbers.
And one other piece of the puzzle was they didn't look at the septic system. They just assumed that that system, once it was put in, has a 50-year lifespan.
Right.
Without doing a Title V.
Yeah,
What kind of condition it's in now,
gotta do that.
Don't know.
That's why we've got that 100,000 from the town needing to do that kind of stuff. So we'll know,
No, we don't have to pay, right?
better idea.
Yeah, the most expensive item in this list here is the fire protection, which we're in discussions with the fire chief and the building commissioner about whether that's required or not. It could very well likely be that that's not required, so that would drop that
If
number.
you're not modifying the building, why would it be required? Why wouldn't it be grandfathered?
Change of use might trigger something.
I
Yeah,
would think it would be less with a.
Yeah, so,
well, there's two
think so.
factors there. There's
Not worth as much.
change of use, which isn't gonna be, because we're just replacing offices.
Should be fine.
The other thing is,
Maybe they
you
build
don't have
to build a place.
water or the water pressure for a
sprinkler system.
system. You don't have to do it,
The chief can accept alternate
right?
strategies for fire protection,
Yeah.
but the trigger would be, what if we spent a third of the cost of the
Right.
building or put an addition on it, then that would trigger it.
Right.
I doubt if we'd be putting an addition on it.
Big the way it is.
take some parts out.
But the thing with Thornton Burgess is that if we decide to do something with the town hall offices will need a place to go while they're doing this massive construction. And even the senior center, if we do something there, some of their programming may have to go there for a period of time.
We haven't seen the spatial utilization for that building yet, but, I mean, a quick look at the assessor's records. This building here is 17,000 square feet. That building's 72,000 square feet. I mean, even when you take out the gymnasium and the cafeteria and all the hallways, there's a crap load of space over
It's
there.
like 50,000, not counting the gymnasium.
Yeah, I would think so.
You could fit the town hall and the senior center in there.
Doesn't that change the game a little, though, with Thornton Burgess now being in town hands? I mean, couldn't the town hall go to the senior center and the senior center go to Thornton Burgess with the library?
That's
I
not.
don't think it'd be big enough.
Not big enough.
Senior center,
Thornton Burgess not big enough?
No, your best bet for the best economy for the town would be the town hall and the senior center in Thornton Burgess and put the library in the senior center.
no, the
Problem-
library will fit in there too.
There's no room in the senior center for a library.
For a library, is not, how much space is up here? How big is the library now?
Oh, he's suggesting you wouldn't need an addition on that building if it was repurposed as a library.
Correct.
Discussion,
The library,
Why are we
Move.
doing
It's
that?
an interesting idea.
No, it would work.
The town hall.
And it'd be the cheapest way
Thornton Burgess
out.
becomes the senior center and park and rec and the library, because old people use the library like crazy around here and they love little kids. So it's a win-win. Might even get some daycare.
The square foot of all three will fit in that building. According to the assessor's numbers, the town hall, senior center, the library, all will fit in TWB.
Don't forget, we're crammed in here. We've got people jammed into offices. We have no space.
Sheer space,
I'm trying to scrap stuff.
sheer space.
Yeah.
There's
TWB was never.
There's-
It's 4 times the size.
4 times the size, 5 times the
No,
size.
it is, but I know what we are here too.
The school already has a
Up the
library.
building over there, still.
we're not gonna solve it right now.
no,
Right, we should set up
Okay.
that's, the idea is they just get all these things out there. Go ahead.
Just a thought.
that's the layout.
And that's the layout of Thornton Burgess.
Okay. One crazy idea I had in the shower, I mean, the whole point of these early meetings is not to discard any ideas.
Correct.
Right, to put stuff out blue sky, not poo-poo anything at all. I was listening to somebody at the town meeting talking about charter schools, and if we could rent the building, now don't poo-poo me. I know you didn't. No, I just, it's possible with that much space that there might be a part of the building that could be sublet to something like a charter school. If we weren't using the entire building, again, it's 4 times the size of this. it's possible that, a third of that building could be rented out for an income source, just an idea. I don't know what the market is.
And when you do that, for a school, you'd have to totally close it off from the rest of the building.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
outside area
Yeah,
as well.
of course.
You could not have anything to, not be able to get in.
Of course. Yeah. Well, it segments pretty well in half anyway.
Right. Brian, you
Thought?
want to give your thoughts on the utilization of TWB?
Sure. So just by way of background, the lease amendment with the school committee has been signed by the board and the school committee. And that lease amendment terminates the district's possession or right to use TWB as of June 30th, 2025, right? Yeah, the year's gonna change. So at that time, the district will be out and the town will be in full possession of the building. So the question is, and that's I think why we have this meeting, is to figure out what to do with it. As we saw in the studies, there are deficiencies with this building, and I think everybody knows those probably better than I do. And to me, and I'm talking about the town offices here, to me, there's one other option that we haven't brought up, and that is to, and I'm not expressing preference either way, would be to build something new, right? The town offices need to go somewhere. The likely options seem to me to be renovate this building and stay here, move to Thornton Burgess, or to build something new, right? Those seem to be, and I'm talking long-term options for the town. Those seem to be. Now, short-term, it's my opinion that this building has such deficiencies that really need to be addressed soon. The biggest one being accessibility. So in my mind, Thornton Burgess seems like, whether it's a long-term solution or a short-term solution, it seems to me to be a good short-term solution, regardless of what happens long-term. And when Don and I talked about this idea, I thought it was a good idea to start the discussion, because within those options, there's lots of pluses and minuses for each option. And reasonable people will disagree as to which one's the best for the town. But I agree, without starting these discussions, I at least feel a little bit paralyzed. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should be, finding energy contractors to go through TWB and give us estimates for replacing lighting. And are we looking at replacing the HVAC system? Are we doing painting? Are we going through the network and setting that up? And there's grant opportunities for, there's municipal IT grant coming up at the end of January. I don't really know how to move forward because there's all these different ideas. And even here, when I first started, when I was talking with Jane about all the deficiencies here, it was, well, do we invest money in this building to make these repairs if we're just gonna be moving out? So I agree, there's a lot of questions that need answers, and until those discussions happen, it's difficult to know which path to pursue. Or maybe we pursue multiple paths at the same time, but without any sort of direction, it's hard to move forward. So in the initial discussions with Time Bond and the consultant that's doing the space planning, there is more than enough space for the library and for the town offices and for future expansion. Certainly. Things that come to mind is Park and Recs use that facility a lot, especially during the winter, inside and outside. Obviously, to me, it's our only municipal option for large meetings, for town meetings. So those are things that I think about. And gosh, it's single level, and my office is right at the bottom of the stairs, and Jane warned me when I first started that the stairs are pretty tricky to navigate, and I mean, you can hear I've never seen anybody fall, but you can hear people, as my kids would say, grinding to get down the stairs, right? Sometimes it's hard.
Sure make the paper delivery guy happy.
Yeah, I've seen 10 since I've been here,
Wow,
starting with one that were multiple broken bones,
nice.
to a concussion, to people just being shaken up by falling down the stairs. 10 people.
Yeah.
And I'm also very cognizant, but personally, I don't like to spend a lot of money. So I'm very cognizant of the costs of these. And I believe that needs to be done in an affordable way. And there's a lot of different demands on really these three situations: fire, senior center, and the town offices, wherever that may be, townhouse or TWB or a new building. And how do we prioritize those? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain discussions to start happening as to how we go about it.
Gary, the building committees met the other day. They have a plan C?
Actually, we're looking for direction from the select board. First question that first, all of the committee members agreed to stay on if the select board decided to keep us in moving forward. Given if you agree that we still have a role to play, then we probably, based on what we heard at town meeting, would be looking more at renovation and an addition. Because again, as we said at town meeting, renovating requires changing the internal workspace of that building. And when you do that, particularly with the bathrooms, you lose program space, or you lose some of the interior space. And so we believe and have spoken about the need for storage. Some of it may be able to long-term storage go over to TWB if that's one of the options that are put forth. And the committee can, certainly talk about that. But there are everyday needs for storage that can't be accommodated by just internal renovations, as we say, and a new roof. The number is 1.7 to 2. That, quite frankly, does not include the outdoor paving, which was going to be portioned through fundraising. So that number will have to be put into the $2 million. But again, I'll reiterate, I'll go back, what is the select board's desire? Do they want the committee to go forward, or does someone in town want to handle taking bids for the new roof, or taking bids for the renovation or the HVAC system? I mean, that's really where we're at this point. We have a meeting scheduled for Monday, but really, until we hear about our position, we're sort of in limbo at this point.
If I may, Don?
Yeah.
Would the senior center be opposed to moving into Thornton Burgess full-time? It would solve a lot of issues, and you have more space, less money.
I mean, we'd have to look at that.
We can't speak to that now, okay? What we'd like to know is, I'm going to ask the question, we're going to pursue Thornton Burgess as a town, am I correct in saying that? We don't know right now if we are or not. That's why we're all here, okay? So we're kind of in flux. So once you get a determination that we're going to move forward with Thornton Burgess, then at that point, I think we can all have a discussion about how to utilize Thornton Burgess for all the parties involved. In other words, senior center, library, and town hall. I believe we know that we're not going to move the fire department there, okay? So really, we need some positive input as to what we're gonna do with Thornton Burgess.
And if I could just add, I mean, it's a good question, and we would look at that, certainly. But understand that the seniors, what they do in that building and outside the building are unique. And so if you assign space at Thornton Burgess, it has to be assigned so that things like the suppers, the $5 suppers, where we have cars lined up and they need access. We did over 200 dinners for people on Wednesday. That meant a lot of cars going in and out and possible conflicts at TWB. So again, I'm not saying we wouldn't do that, but the uniqueness of what that center provides, that building provides, to try to move it into Thornton Burgess will be not just moving space.
Well, part of the whole space utilization issue here is we're going to have zones. Even if we were just to move the townhouse over there, we're going to have the townhouse zone, the park and rec zone, and the library zone that all work on different schedules, and probably would all have separate entrances, and that's going to have to be part of the space. It would just be, and I agree with you, that's not a question that can be answered yet, Peter's question, but it's just one more zone that would have to be accommodated, you know?
It doesn't matter either way, whether you put the addition on and rezone the present senior center, or you make the changes at Thornton Burgess. In the long run, it's still gonna be cheaper for the town.
Maybe.
Well, maybe or not.
Maybe not.
The current state of the senior center, as far as the town's concerned, is do nothing to it.
Right.
Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's what the residents voted for.
Right.
It says
I don't
leave it
think
as it
that-
is.
Do nothing. I don't know what the warranty is on that roof, but it's been repaired, so the warranty probably doesn't even.
No, that's,
No, that's not what I meant.
So
Okay,
we
I'm
need to-
sorry.
We need
The
to
roof,
keep that.
yes, the roof needs to be repaired
Yes.
and some HVAC needs to be repaired. That was what was presented to the capital committee 3 years ago or 4 years ago when I was on it.
Yeah.
Nothing else at that point had to be done in there other than roof and some HVAC. Everything else over there is niceties that the town voted down.
I would disagree with you about the bathroom.
Well,
And I don't want to get into
So
this at this point,
we're
but
getting off-
we're getting off track here, but just so you know,
Yeah.
at some point, some state official's going to do a tour of that senior center, and those bathrooms do not comply. They just don't comply. So the alternative is to address it sooner than later before they get shut down.
we are getting a little into the weeds, and like you said,
I understand,
and
but-
as I said earlier, nothing should be off the table this early in this group's meetings.
I totally agree.
This select board member Flynn is on. Do you have any comments? You unmuted.
Thanks, Don. First off, I thank you, everybody, for coming to this. As Don said, this is a kickoff meeting. All suggestions are welcome. But I appreciate what Don said before, that we got to look long range here. If you look at the fact that you talk about Thornton Burgess being much bigger than the town hall, yes, but the town hall could use 30% more space right now.
Yeah.
And then you talk about zones, and that was a great suggestion. But I've said before, you look at the zones they have at the Wilbraham Town Hall, where they have all the building and planning put together. That's an organization that could be better used as well. Peter, those are good points you bring up, but I go back to the fact we built the senior center and it's well-positioned and well-used right now. Why would we abandon that building?
we're not gonna abandon.
Well, to renovate it to be a library, I think would be more cost, but this is stuff that has to be fleshed out. All ideas are welcome right now. And then you put them up on a board and you grade them all. You put points to them and say what works out the best. Again, this isn't the first meeting. Don, I think Don planned on having this meeting every day for 2 hours.
I did.
Another question that will obviously have to be addressed at some point is this building. I mean, there's three easy choices, fix it, sell it, or tear it down. And at some point, we're going to have to approach that issue. I don't know if there's any market for this place. if sell is an option.
Yeah.
Or, if, you know, and I certainly don't want to see us maintaining another white elephant we don't need. We can't afford to keep this place up if we're not utilizing it, or if it's not required for our needs. So that's something we're gonna have to face.
I would think if you would ask a realtor for some options, that a developer would come in here and turn this place into about a 10-unit condominium or something in a heartbeat.
Well, to that point, Dad, to that point, another thing might be, if you go back to what Brian said before, his third option, build new, maybe it's worth getting a quick appraisal of the value of Thornton Burgess to somebody. And that gives you some money in the bank for acquiring land and building new.
Well, that's
But
true.
if you go with option 3, you can't keep Thornton Burgess. You
If
need
there
the
were-
capital in that building.
You know, you're right, John. If there was an abutter that had a lot of money in their pocket, maybe we could sell it for a stupid amount and build new.
Do they have golf carts there?
If I can ask, are you still on the utilization of?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's try and get back to that if we could a little
All
bit.
right.
Because you're going to have open discussion
Yeah.
coming up, and
Let's go, we're on open discussion.
we are on open discussion.
So we're done with utilization.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I think we've heard a lot of ideas already, so anyone else have anything they want to add? I mean,
Do you have a deadline to this,
July 1st, wasn't it?
Yeah, is that gonna, is it?
what deadline for what?
But what, are we gonna have a decision by, at what point?
Well, if you need funding, you need to go to town meeting.
Meeting.
Right.
So there's your
That would be May.
So you would have to have some kind of plan if we're gonna do something next year to present an annual.
We're gonna need some kind of plan, even if it's simply doing something with Thornton Burgess to start moving town offices over there, you know, and then,
Right. And the only reason I'm asking is the boiler system
you know,
and all the issues that I either have to spend money or
Yeah.
do something.
John?
I mean, we're in trouble.
So if we're going to go on the assumption of utilizing Thornton Burgess, when is we've allocated some monies to look at Thornton Burgess. Probably the mechanical side and some of if there's abatements or whatever has to be done. When do we propose to at least start, to at least get Brian going, saying that, what's the heating, what's the HVAC? Can we get a contractor in to give us a evaluation of that? And I'm asking Brian's thoughts, your thoughts.
So currently, the timeline is that all of the Hampden Wilbraham Regional School District offices will be out of there by February 1st.
February
Right.
1st.
And they'll give us access to the building.
Okay.
We'll probably take over the building totally on July 1st.
Right.
So we could begin doing some things. So we could start those studies, the 100,000 now, doing some things, maybe see what we can get done with any pot of money that's there. We have that money, we have $15,000 that the town appropriated for school maintenance. We could use to do some things there. So, and then we would go to the town meeting. I think our thought would be, we would go to the town meeting with a plan for cost of moving and that type of stuff, and probably would happen in September if we could get everything moving quickly, to move the town office, or some of the town offices at least over there. So we have a whole IT thing as well to do, and,
Right, so do we have a plan as to who we want to give that, I'm saying give the 100,000 to?
we don't have that.
IT first, HVAC, yeah, Brian, that's,
Hazmat,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yep, there's a hazardous building materials assessment.
But that all's in place now, correct?
We have the 100,000.
Hazard evaluation of that building has to be done. That had to been done years ago.
Yeah, I think it's done in this study here. Now it's removing it. It's floor tiles, is what it really is.
Okay.
and some stuff around the building.
Why is,
But those don't have to be removed unless there's an
Correct,
issue with it.
correct, they don't.
That's the cost too, if it was to be.
it's like the walls in the cafetorium there's asbestos there, but it's all encapsulated. It's been that way for 20 years.
Right,
And as long as we don't tear it up,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And the HVAC should be working now, because we've been paying money to maintain that building all along.
The HVAC is all, it's just in the offices, and there's some mini splits, there's some mini splits, there's some window air.
the whole thing isn't air conditioned, that's what he's saying.
Right.
Never had HD when I went there.
Furnaces and boilers are good,
Great shape there.
great shape there.
No, but I have it in my office now.
So those
Didn't want
are
to-
some of the, where we're gonna spend our
Yeah.
100,000.
Yeah,
Getting those evaluated, and then we can go to town meeting and say that this is how much we're gonna need
right,
to at least,
move us in,
to move us in, to fix what's deficient.
right,
And the voters are going to want an integrated plan, what's happening to this building, what's downstream or upstream for the firehouse and the senior center. They're going to want a grand plan. And, Don, you said earlier in the meeting that we've been kicking the can around for a long time, and it's true, but we've been kicking the can around because we've been waiting for the school committee to make a decision.
Yeah.
Now it's time.
they made it.
We caught the dog caught the car, now what do we do with it?
Good point, good point.
They have,
Don, one of the things that, and Brian, I think, we have lots of electricians and plumbers and HVAC people in this town who could give us some idea of what we would need to spend on these things. I don't know whether that.
Well, we have that.
That without going,
Bond did that.
without going out to bid, which we can't do for a while.
It's true, we might have some local resources that would help.
Yeah,
Because Brian's your hands are tied right now as to what to do. I don't see why we can't
Well, I
start
think-
at least that and get some people going.
I think one of the things you need to do, and a year ago, I was involved with a project down in Georgia, going into a new $1 million or $1 million square foot facility. And the hardest thing I had to do was to lay out the offices, because nobody could give me a list of names as who needs an office. So what I would suggest is you have the drawing over there of the current TWB, somewhere along the line, by each one of the little boxes, pencil in names. Here's Don,
Or departments at least.
or names, here's the town clerk, here's the library. Put a name by each one of those boxes, and when you look at that, you'll have a much clearer idea what to do. You need storage areas. Well, maybe you don't need any HVAC in the storage areas. You need heating so the pipes don't freeze. Has any of that been done to this point?
Yes.
Cardboard, horse
We have that to look at.
We have a draft of that, and then we have a draft from, so as part of the spatial planning analysis, we received a draft back from Ty and Bond that's been sent to the board for review and comments. So that should be available in relatively short order.
Because I think that would answer a whole lot of the questions as far as, is there enough space for the library? I mean, how much space was put in for them? How much is here, how much here? Some of the space constraints at the senior center, maybe some of these occasional programs, since there is plenty of space, could be utilized over there. Maybe a room for the guy that comes in and does the foot, just set one room aside over there for that. They come in and do manicures or whatever. There was about 6 things I saw on that were occasional, one shot a month deals. Have those done over there. Set aside a room for storage of some of the stuff and clutter that they don't use on a regular basis, a once a month type stuff. So you have those kind of rooms, but without seeing the names on there, most of this discussion probably don't even need to take place. I mean, I struggled 6 months trying to get a layout from the people, because I was working for another company. I kept saying, don't you even have an employee list and know how many people are working for you? And it didn't even seem like they knew how many people work for them, which may be the case with the town of Hampden.
You know,
How many paychecks? is-
I think what we have to do before we do any of this is we have to assess both of these sites. When I say both, TWB and the townhouse. Peter made a comment about the septic over at TWB, which apparently hasn't been looked at in the course of these various studies. The issue of septic here in a TWB, as well as water here in a TWB, are going to be limit, or potentially limiting factors in what we can do with those, either one of the properties. So we start with that as a foundational issue. You know, what do we actually have to work with? And then, taken off of Thad's, we essentially do a functional analysis. What is it that we need? Now, when you think about TWB, we need the cafetorium for town meeting. We need the gym for park and rec. You know, and you can do that with each department. What is it that we actually need? A functional analysis.
You got the library.
And then we take the functions that we need to meet, and we look at our facilities and we say, okay, here's what we can do. And, that will narrow down the range of potential options that we have. There's still going to be decisions that are made in terms of the big decisions about, do we keep or do we let go and those kind of things. But until we actually have the parameters of what we have available, I don't think we can make an informed decision about any of these properties.
Yeah, but if you want to put a name by each box. Personally, I can't imagine any kind of building modifications needing to be done over there.
Here's the one problem that popped into my head, and I wasn't in the shower, is that if you want to use the space,
Look at all of it. Thornton Burgess was built by the-
take your time, guys, I'll be done in a minute.
Sorry, go ahead.
If you want to, because I want to hear your input. So these classrooms are what, 30 by 30 or something like that, whatever the heck they are. And if our goal is to do the least amount of building modifications, we're going to use more space than if we spend a little bit of money modifying. I mean, sure, okay, the treasurer's office is now this 30 by 30 room that has 2 people in it.
But you got plenty of space for your file cabinets and everything.
But if, with the right furnishings or cubicles or partitions, you would use a lot less of that space and more space would be available. So if we want to get in there on the cheap, we're going to waste a lot of space. And there's a priority decision that needs to be made there. I don't think it's one way, obviously, or the other. Obviously, all these offices are much smaller than any one of those classrooms. So do you put 3 different offices in the same room, or with enough partitioning to make it work?
But here, we don't even have all our stuff in one room.
I understand that.
So could you use a 30 by 30?
That's what I'm
You
saying.
probably could. I mean, there are obviously places that we really need.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying that to get in there cheap will waste a lot of space. And if we have the space to waste, that's fine.
Right, exactly.
But that's a decision that we have to make when we do the utilization.
I think if you look at the space, realizing that, okay, we'll put you in this room, it's twice as big as you need, just have that notation. So as you say, down the road or before you enter, we need some more space for this department, and we know we can take 50% of your space and put a wall in there.
Yeah.
But if we don't need to put the wall in there, we leave you with the space.
Understood.
And maybe put a pool table so the rec can come over, the senior center can come over and play pool with you.
It's gonna be distracting when
It's hard, because I think when you're given a space, you grow into the space. You never go down.
Oh, and that's
I mean,
not true.
I-
That's not true. That's called lean management. That's something that government doesn't get involved with lean management, but there's a whole science out there that does
Oh, I
that.
believe it, but we're
Well,
not.
you're both right.
Right,
Organically, everything grows unless something limits it,
exactly.
and we don't have Thad in here to limit us.
Oh, God, please. I'm retiring, it's okay.
That's what I've done. That's what I've done for 20 years.
No, I know.
Funding.
Yeah, what about it?
Where are we gonna get the dough?
From the taxpayers, where do we always get the dough?
Thanks,
How
Nick.
much is the biggest question,
How
is how
about if
much?
the money that town meeting has given the town to spend on this, the first thing, I think Doug is right, that the water and septic has to be proven to be big enough and in good enough condition for us to move there. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all sitting here talking about office space when,
Well, you gotta start off with the premise, though, that that septic system and that water was good enough for 600 people.
Exactly.
We have to verify it, but
We have to look if it's a
I mean, it was,
condition it's in, but it's certainly big enough.
everything there was built for a whole lot more people than we're ever gonna have in there.
That would be big enough, the
Well,
town
I
halls
think it
may
should
not
be
be.
looked
It's not that it's big
at.
enough, but is it in good condition?
Yeah,
Right.
One of the things
And I'm
that
not
the
sure I-
if it's broke, you gotta fix it.
job of is that they have to certify the water, and the septic system is pumped every year, and including the grease pits. They have a phenomenal schedule, and they adhere to it.
All right, good.
Well, that shouldn't be a problem. But check it.
Yeah.
Whoever does that and pumps it now could give you a certificate, Bill.
Well, he needs to be licensed,
Certified.
you know, I mean, he's got to be a Title V inspector, but yeah.
They're using Billy, ain't they?
You mean I can't just go over there and say it's okay?
You can, if you want, pull the covers, go for it. Just don't bring your lunch.
We have officers' insurance, right, in case you get sued?
Indemnity, we got indemnity.
That's
a well.
the only time it's a public water supply.
It's a well.
Right.
Yes, but it's a public, it's considered. a
Yeah, it's
public
already,
water supply.
it already goes
So
through
it's already
testing.
tested every,
Yeah, right.
yeah, oh, yeah.
But the other thing to consider with that public water supply, there are 3 wellheads on the property, and I found some regulations a while back that were like, you can do basically nothing within 200 feet of those wellheads, and then it's also limited 400 feet outside of those wellheads.
Oh, yeah.
Restrictions as well, so.
Yeah, it's all IWPA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No problem.
so,
This is what so next steps, this is what I got. We need to look at the septic and water. First of all, we have to decide septic and water. We need to do a spatial or function plan, something like that. You writing this down?
Yep.
Because I'll be calling you tomorrow morning to see how you've done on it.
All right.
Rewind.
Wait till tomorrow
slowly.
morning, it'll be 2 this morning.
2 in the morning.
Brian.
Sleeping.
I held back this morning at 4:30 when I was on my bicycle.
Shocked.
I was up.
Okay, see, he was up. So septic, water, spatial, senior center building committee, want them to continue, right? Talk to the selectmen about that. And they got functioning. John, Flynn, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's a good next step. Again, knowing what we're dealing with is the key part right there. You know, we gotta have all the facts in front of us before we can really make a decision.
Okay. So, date of next meeting? Couple of weeks, a month? Christmas isn't there, you know, so.
holidays makes it hard, yeah.
I would recommend evenings, so more people within town can put in more input on these projects.
I think right now, I would recommend no on that. Right now, I think you've got a group of people that we need to
One
focus.
of the reasons I wanted to have it in the morning is I knew that the people who work for the town could.
Yes,
You
yeah.
know, so.
I think once you finalize the spatial analysis and things of that,
You can move to an evening.
then we,
We'll have something to present.
correct.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are great.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are good for you?
That's
I
twice
can
a
come on
week.
Tuesday and Thursday.
Twice
I
a
won't
week.
have any permanent work.
After the first of the year?
Whenever you,
I mean, right, because we got Christmas and everything coming up, so.
Okay.
Right. I have nothing else. Anyone else, anything to add?
you want to do January?
Date?
Yeah,
Okay,
if you don't mind.
no, I don't mind. Anything to get me out of the house,
You do my driveway.
7th or the 14th.
Yeah,
how about Thursday, the 4th?
of January?
January.
There's no,
Oh, I'm looking at 24, I'm looking at 24.
Yeah.
Go one more week.
The 7th?
either Tuesday the 7th or Thursday the 9th.
Tuesday, the 7th,
Gotcha.
right? Same time?
Tuesday, 7.
Place?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I feel it was very productive, and I think it's a good start to where we need to go.
Yeah,
On that,
you're done.
I'll go adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
7 feet, so.
What?
Yeah.
A second? All in favor? Aye, okay. Thank you.
I thought I didn't know what this meeting was originally.